All right. This is part two of the new edition story commentary. And we're just going to rock and roll. Let's not waste any time. Hopefully, you have gotten a chance to get everything queued up and caught up with me and where I'm at. So, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I am hitting play for part two now. Previously on the new edition story, so we're doing the lead in from part one. I work with kids. Back in your heart, you are a group, everybody's equal. Trying to outshine everybody else, you forget about it. Okay, so I'll just talk over this build up because I don't want to miss any cue rushing it, and it's going to throw the whole commentary off from me. So where we left off, they have the new manager. They signed to MCA. And of course they got the new manager leading up to the second screw job. I need to see results. Okay. Of course, I'm going to let you know when we're caught up in case you want to rewind. Okay, so the new edition story titles just came up, faded down, part 2. KHJ in Los Angeles. If you're lucky enough to be in Santa Monica, Los Angeles, California, 1984. Panning up to Ralph singing in the studio by himself. What? No, I'm kidding. It's just a joke. You're the lead singer, the one who's going to do most of the parts the way it works. Okay, so this is when Ralph wants the guys to get other stuff. Other vocals. See, I think at this point, this is just my opinion, it seems as if the manager as well was angling to get Ralph to be a solo artist as well. As the story progresses, I start to notice that first he wants to get rid of Mike for a one-time fight. I could see there's a little bit more build-up, you know, like the Bobby Brown build-up. But first he wants to get rid of Mike, then he wants to get rid of Bobby down the line. Of course, well, Bobby seems like he's a real problem, but he's making it easier for him to separate Bobby from the group. And that's just my perspective. It just seemed like he was trying to knock them off one by one until they just got worn out. And that cat that's behind the board is supposed to be Ray Parker Jr. I saw the name in the credits and I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember him. And then when I heard the track, just the instrumental, my brain for some reason said, it sounds like Ray Parker. And I said, oh, that's right, yeah, he produced that song, yeah. It's jacked up because they don't even introduce them for those that, you know who he is. He also did the theme for Ghostbusters and then got sued by Huey Lewis for I Need a New Drug. He should just jumped in the car, just dived in the middle and just laid on top of them. And then just fought, for the side. But stop the car. Watch. Stop the car. Stop the car. With his jerry wig. When he spit in his face, that's low, man. That's hard body. But I mean, he did agitate him. Whap! I saw an interview with Michael Bivins. He was talking about the various fights that he and Bobby would get in. He was like, Bobby got some licks in as well. He was like, I gotta be honest, we had a lot of fights, and Bobby knotted me up. And then he was explaining how he had a fight with Ronnie, and Ronnie knotted him up, got some shots in. I love the honesty. Yeah, I love the honesty. One time fight, and he got a bounce, and they run over his foot. No leniency. As I was saying earlier, here we go. So, trying to divide. I also find it, I mean, it's not even funny, but it is realistic when it comes down to money. The fact that the mothers are just like, okay, yeah, he's got to go. Okay, yeah, he's got to go. Okay, the man just got to go. But did he? Was La Tigra. At least you could have said ready, Ray. Please, operator. Right there, my man looks like Sammy Davis Jr. Dap it up, let it go. One of a million fights. It's good to think that they survived all this. And now any grievances is just going to be, oh, this is fucking hilarious. This reference right here. With their 3 stripes. 2, 1, 2. Oh, hell no. You can get that to Menudo. Yeah. Yo, that's hilarious. Hilarious. Because, they were like a few of the boy groups, or however you want to classify them as, and they were kind of, well, I guess offshoot or in competition somewhat. I don't want to say offshoot, competition with Menudo, and it was alleged whether or not if they were gay or whatever. Well, we know that one of them is gay. That's for sure. But the girls used to go crazy for Menudo. I should say, well, whatever. Looking like fucking T-Pain. These big ass goggles. Mr. Quavo no more. I like the reference track that they use for Brooke returning. Damn, who the fuck is walking up all those stairs, man? If you get a telephone call, you gotta go all the way up there. Now you gotta lay the smack down. Power move. Strict power move. Once again, Brooke will handle himself very, very smooth. Now I wonder while all this was going on, how much knowledge he had acquired, referring to Brooke rather. His face is even disgusted by the just with Brooke being there. This reminds me of thinking back to Prince, and Prince would have these huge rehearsals as well, where they would record the rehearsals and watch it back and see what works and what didn't work and change. And I also recall Michael Bivins making a reference to that. He said the Home Again tour is the only time they didn't do that, and hence the reason why you saw some of the problems that you saw. Here's another reference. We'll see what happens with hip hop in 20 years. The Tavares. I'm gonna tell my little star, and all you gotta do is pat him on the head as well. I'm surprised he didn't say, "Yes, I am your boss." For some reason, this tunnel reminds me of, it could be the tunnel that was in the Avengers, that chase scene. Captain America, Civil War. It was fucking basically the Avengers. Licenses and registration, sir. Slammer. Beresford Brown. I think if he does another album, he should call it Beresford. You know, Bobby Brown, and the album title's Beresford. Featuring the classics. I'm surprised I'm sure maybe for story purposes they switched this, but I'm surprised he didn't contact Brooke. Unless he just wanted a soft touch because he knew Brooke was getting that ass on this fuck up. You getting girls pregnant, Bobby? You doing cocaine, Bobby? With his shag. This actor right here, Woody McClain, I have a feeling that he's gonna have a Bobby Brown type of career where he's gonna do a couple of projects that's gonna just really pop off, you know, because everyone now they're tied in to this film, of course, you know, forever. Not stereotyping them, because they're all gonna hopefully go on to do great things, but you know, I just have this feeling that he's gonna be like this character actor that it's gonna do some pretty interesting things. He also has that Isaiah Washington look too as well. It's funny, upon the second viewing, he starts to look a little bit more like Ralph. He starts to embody the facial features. He's rushing to put his little reddish pink blazer on. Yo, that shag is hardcore, man. Johnny Gill, always professional. Never missed a rehearsal, never missed a show. The fact that when he ends up joining New Edition, it was a very, very awesome, smart move on both parties rather, on New Edition's part and on Johnny's part, making that decision to say yes to join the group. But we'll get into that down the road. I think this part is funny when he's like, because we were late at landing, we called him Landon. It was Landon. Call him name. Landon. Ralph for his shag. I need to look at the history of the shag. Now, I wonder if that was a true quality when Bobby actually went to pick up the baby, or if that was just something that the director decided to. Someone had asked about Mike's jacket too. This was a 4 and not an 8-ball jacket, and they were wondering if that was something that he had made special, custom. Yeah, he's hiding his scenario. And then here comes the manager asking them to hide this scenario. He did. You understand? Carrying a baby? There is a price to fame. New Edition Express. This is Bobby. You're doing cocaine now? Meanwhile, my man just pulled off. You're doing cocaine now? So it's like, are you doing drugs? Are you doing drugs? You doing cocaine now? You had 2? That's funny. Doing cocaine? That's hilarious. I'll slide up in anything. That should be a shirt. Two of them? Yeah, that seems to be his favorite move. Is the electric boogie. You got the checks though? Feisty just like his mom's. Obviously, she don't know about the second set of books scheme that labels do and that film production companies do as well. Get this big ass briefcase for a swindler's deal. I don't even understand like how you could eat knowing that you have to meet them and they want some major dough and you're not even explaining this shit before even getting there. I love how he just transitions. It's a great song. We have to be patient. And it's very reminiscent of Brooks leaving. does not want to admit that she's wrong. So she stands there and makes excuses for this behavior. Hilarious. Tank is really good in this role, and Jamie Foxx should watch his back because this cat's on the come up. Especially if you've watched Born Again Virgin, which is the show that he's on. And I just said that because they're good friends. And sometimes that competitive nature makes people jealous, especially after his last film didn't do so well. Sleepless. But anyway. Now that right there is a reference to how the artists get their advances. And they live off their advances, and then they have to pay back a whole bunch of other crap. So the best thing to do is to take some of that advance money, if that's the type of deals that you guys are taking, and invest it in something. I mean, technically, in my opinion, after seeing this film, which is the trifecta of films, as far as I'm concerned, first one being the Five Heartbeats, second one being the Temptations movie, which was really good as well, and now this one. They all have very similar qualities, of course, especially when it comes down to the shady dealings of the record industry. And if you have artists out here and you guys are listening, you still getting these shitty deals and then crying about it later, I do not shed a tear for you at all. Because at this point, you should know better. And that's all I'll say about that. Is this when he? Oh, okay. It's when he jockeys and bounces. Situation blowing my mind. Please, operator. Please, operator. It's funny because watching this movie, I realized that that's like Bobby's only song where he's like, singing a majority of the parts. So I could understand a bit, him wanting to bounce out just because of all the limelight or all the attention that Ralph gets. And I think that maybe, I know that Ralph did a lot, but it would have been, well, I can't say would have been. I'll just say he should have asked for more, equality throughout the group. Especially for the, ones that had the really great ranges, which of course was Ralph. It's Ricky and Bobby. Mike is great at what he does in Belle Biv DeVoe, which I'll get into that whole scenario as we get toward that. Yeah, that is hilarious, yo. Wow, so I wonder, one, how many times he's done that. Two, how long he kept them standing every time he did that. Very unprofessional. He threw it Vegas style. And that would be the first time you see something public go on, at least within this film. It's funny because I've never heard about any of this stuff that was happening on stage. You would usually hear some whispers on the street. He comes back, throws on a red robe. It's so unprofessional. Here we go. Here's the squeeze out. Is one part that I like that Gary does when he's like, I'm not telling your mother you're not getting paid. Your mother's you're not getting paid. That's for you to do. And you can also explain to them why. Ralphie. This is what Michael Rappaport does best. Spazzing. Like what? Like Bobby does cocaine? Mike? And you can tell them why. And they fucking dumped him under the highway, man. That's low. Bus takes off. Or they just showed a shot of the bus. It's funny now because they don't have the new edition. If that was the bus, it doesn't have the new edition brand of approval on the side. But that is foul. He's underneath a goddamn highway. Leaving out from Cali. 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 You're leaving out from Cali. He got his old school boombox, which he puts in. Or box, as they used to call it. I think boombox is when it went through the ciphers of pop culture / white America. I love how they just shut her down. She's like looking to vent. Here. And I love her part is coming up. Is that fucking Lowenbrow beer or something? Don't you see me talking on the damn phone? See, this shit that I didn't even hear, man. Yo, she looks like Lucy right there, dude. Like old school Lucille Ball. I'm talking about Lala on the left hand side. That shot right there with the eyebrows. Lucille Ball. See me damn phone. That's a real black mother right there. I'll tell you that much. You don't see me on this damn phone. Oh, she's from Nazareth. Now, I don't understand why they pan to fucking JFK, but it is what it is. Beverly Hills, California, 1985. Oh, this is when he's getting the management bug in his head, Mike. This is when Bashir starts to really come into his own. Right around, not that he wasn't doing his thing already, but now it's like his. When he really starts to, embody Mike Biv. here's the jackpot. And his eye just happens to hit. Boom. He tries to transition. What's funny is how come he didn't go up in the room with the homie that was in the car with him? Little bastard. I really do think that Tank is showing that he has the skill sets to be a lead actor, in my opinion. So this was a really good decision for him to take on this project. Pay attention, artists. Which is boom. And that's how they should have started the film. Mr. Michael Bivens. Welcome to the music business. It's funny because the way it's all set up is you even have to flash back to the earlier scene with Maurice Starr. They just straight up signed. Didn't even take a few days off. Let's review this. And this is the type of shit that also happens in the film industry, especially when you hear about all that Sundance shit. This one signed this one signed that with Sundance. I like these little Easter eggs that you're about to see. The Asian young lady that comes through and the cat that rocks the hat, sunglasses in the black coat. These are two dancers. Here she comes. They were two dancers that you saw on Soul Train every goddamn weekend. So you can YouTube it and you will see them. Those two, along with Rosie Perez at a point. Yes, that Rosie Perez. A couple of more years, man, of struggling. That's crazy. The fact that that's even the thought. That brother right there. Always on the Soul Train line. Now, as I had mentioned in part 1, whenever you get a chance, check out the Soul Train performances on YouTube when they, especially when they're being interviewed by Don Cornelius. Damn, I knew I wasn't going to just completely forget his name. And you'll see, Mike dialoguing the most with him. With his dookie chains on, lining up coke. Hilarious. He got the scale and the whole 9 yards. So he is dealing it. And snorters aren't worrying about no damn scale. It's funny because Gerald is always dropping them little jewels, like the one that he dropped, of course, to Mike, the education he gave Michael, and what he's doing right now for Bobby, and it's also jewels for artists in present day that aren't reading their contracts. Look at you. Here's what you don't know, because I know that you didn't read the contract. Hilarious. That's always the fucking carrot at the edge of the stick. Move them out the projects. And I will give kudos to Bobby's first album, King of Stage. It definitely wasn't the second album, but damn sure looks like Beverly Johnson. But those two hits, Girlfriend and Girl Next Door, we thought those just were bananas. I still think so to this day. Basically rubbing his face in it. He plays him lovely. Especially on the steak. So I take it that he got his own lawyer to hand them these papers. I mean Gary's own lawyer, not Mike's or any's. Did you ever? Prime rib. bodied him. Typical Michael Rappaport. Joe Pesci. And this track, man, that they play, I'm wondering if it was a real track that Ralph had. I thought the shit was dope. He looks so much like fucking Sammy Davis Jr. sitting there, dude. No joke. Boing, boing, boing. It's a horrible transition into that. They should re-release this or something, or drop this on a mix-up tape or some shit, classic throwback or some shit, because this shit sounds hot. And I really thought toward the end that he was going to take that AMA award and throw that bad boy at the mirror. Drums. He's letting him have it, man. He just lay back. It would have been a little sweeter if he turned it, hit play, and then turned the volume up, blasted. The sacrifice that he made, man, to get in the position where he is today that's not only balls, it's discipline. And I'm referring to Mike Bivens. To refuse to lose, the refuse to, not go back to the way things were. Because in reality, it wasn't shit. And I love how they laid this out, because I get to see, the behind the scenes of how all this went down with their solo deals and everything. And Gerald Busby's actual vision of what he saw, I He wasn't lying. The setup on this was well done. The build up. and we're gonna get your money right. It's funny because I just learned that Michael Jackson had recorded Off the Wall and Thriller simultaneously. Hilarious. That's work. And do your job. They could have easily made this character a typical asshole, but I guess, living in the truth or everyone's perspective, because I believe they did interview Gerald Busby, I believe, to get his, take on the story. But they made him look like a professional, and he was true to his word. Regarding the albums, all the other money stuff, I don't know. I don't understand this whole opening. Why not just have them all arrive at the same time? But, aesthetically, I guess it was an aesthetic decision or director's decision or however you want to. And this is Jimmy and Terry, man. Cool as ice. This was their look, the whole 9 yards. From the time to, I don't even know if they're rocking this same style present day. I think they might have lost the sunglasses. I'm not sure, unless they only rock it when they're together. I'm not sure. But anyway. Okay, I said that I was going to discuss the Johnny Gill team up, because Johnny was having issues breaking out because of his voice, and New Edition wanted to transition into adulthood. So it was, they kind of needed one another, and it was a perfect team up. And it also helped Ralph as well, for his solo album, because it also, the Heartbreak album put them into manhood, adult status. And I also think that the conversation earlier they had with Ralph, that argument or whatever, sets up, I believe, what you see today with Belle Biv DeVoe and everything. Because his wanting to do a solo album, it basically sets the tone. Even with Gerald's plan to have them do solo albums is what sets up as well the platform for Belle Biv DeVoe. I love how Mike just takes control of the situation. Fix your faces. I'm sure that when Terry and Jimmy hit them with the idea of creating the Belle Biv DeVoe concept, I'm sure the whole argument that they had with Ralph was playing somewhere in the back of their head, as they were pondering that. If this one can go solo and that one can go solo and they can go solo, then we can do our own thing as well. So it's just funny how the domino effect kind of happens, be it by accident or whatever. And I'm wondering if when New Edition goes back on tour, if these guys are going to be with them in a couple of the shows. Fucking Arn Anderson in the studio. I have a feeling that if they did by chance do a Johnny Gill story, it would be a very interesting story, especially once he drops this dialogue. And hence another reason why that was a good decision from, because it, gave him the discipline of, the 1-2 step, having moves, having more of a performance. So when he transitioned into more of a solo artist, and when he joined LSG, he was a more well-rounded artist. For those that aren't aware of LSG, it's Levert, Sweat, and Gill. And you should look them up as well, because it's another group that Johnny joined after New Edition, the Fallout, and it was another smart move, because they did some damage on the charts as well. the musical quote unquote reenactments, I'll say, were are really good in this film, and especially because they have people that can sing that sound close to the real artists, and thus they can have these scenes that are longer, so you can watch them almost perform this entire song, you know. Which is a bit reminiscent of Jamie Foxx doing Ray. I haven't seen that film in a while, but I can't remember if he performed, if they filmed long versions of him performing as Ray Charles. I gotta go back and check that out again. It also, with them doing this, it exposes the new generation to this music, and if it piques their curiosity, actually it has, because a lot of these albums and a lot of singles flew up the charts, and again, it's really good to know this, especially because usually when this happens is when someone passes away, and the fact that they can enjoy the fruits of their labor, you know, and tap into that new audience now, so that they're as we speak, or as I'm speaking, are in the studio now prepping for their the newest NE album, and they're actually in the studio with these two guys right here, Jimmy and Terry, again. And I believe the tour is probably like end of summer, after the Belle Biv DeVoe tour dates, I believe. Actually, I think they do the entire song. He's looking at Johnny like, wow, the vocal chops. See, I'm curious as to how these studio sessions work with them all singing simultaneously and no one's bleeding into anyone else's mic, and I guess it's just the right amount of distance with the pads that's over it, the vocal pads, and just run that back. Whoa. I thought this was cool because it's very, very similar to the original album. The only difference is that there wasn't a building in the background. I think they were by the water when they did this. But you get to see what they were talking about while this photo shoot was happening. I like it when he's like, we got our money right. Again, with another photographer that wants them to smile. not only superstars, but you're men now. Ah, here we go. Ah, okay. This is a studio. Damn it, sure enough, hell did look like the rec center. It really did look like the rec center with the tall windows. I love when they're goofing right here. They don't take it serious. And this is going to conclude just about this part as we wind it down. When they get the word that Bobby's going to be joining them on the tour, which is, hilarious drop. Him and his goddamn chapstick. So I will see you all in part 3 and the final chapter of this epic 3-night event. So I will see you guys in a bit. Give you a second to queue up. Ciao.